If you were to ask me to define my life in just a few words, I could do it in two. Mental health. For clarification, mental health is an umbrella term covering mental illness and what was once known as mental retardation, but is now known as an intellectual disability. Afflicted by neither, both have played a substantial role in defining who I am as a person. Disturbingly so, all the way back to my childhood. When I was younger, I had an uncle that I loved very much, and I was told he came home from the Korean War shell-shocked. 40 years on, we say PTSD. Personally, I believe he was schizophrenic, and I'll touch on why I believe that in just a bit. In the 80s, I worked at our state hospital, a sprawling complex made up of many buildings. One building for the mentally ill, and all the rest for intellectual disabilities. For clarification, those with intellectual disabilities are usually born with them, or suffer some kind of brain injury. And mental illness occurs sometime years after birth. I spent my 8 years at the hospital working with the mentally retarded or the intellectually disabled. I changed diapers. I fed those who could not feed themselves. I passed meds. I changed medical dressings, and I took them on recreational outings. And I absolutely loved it. By the late 80s, the writing was on the wall. Minnesota was going to close all of its state hospitals and move the clientele into smaller, community-owned group homes. Suddenly, gone were the days of chasing a naked man down a busy highway. Gone were the days of calling for all staff to report to a building because somebody was going crazier than what they were. Gone were the days of scratches and bruises and bites and broken glasses and... I went back to school, and along the way, I inherited a crazy sister-in-law. A sister-in-law that had a heart of gold, but whose brain existed clearly in a different reality. In 2007, my 17-year-old son was diagnosed as schizophrenic. When I look back at some of my son's behaviors, I think of my uncle's PTSD, and I think to myself, no, I don't think it was PTSD. But I'm not a doctor, so what do I know? I know it's been an absolutely heartbreaking journey, not only for me, but for my wife and his 3 brothers. Heartbreaking when his social worker, a small, petite woman, walks into court, literally, with a stack of folders that's taller than what she is. That's when my brown eyes were opened. Those folders were all mental health cases that she had to address for the day ahead. Heartbreaking that my wife's heart was broken and I had no clue in how to deal with it. Heartbreaking when I went to visit my son in a group home to find out he wasn't there. He had been moved, and no one knew where, not even his social worker. Heartbreaking when my son disappeared for 3 days in February in Minnesota, and temperatures were below zero. And he was found 3 days later, his feet frozen, and they were actually considering amputating both his feet. But he got lucky. So yes, my life has been defined by dealing with a lot of issues surrounding mental health and mental health itself. And damn it, I have earned the right to speak about mental health, especially mental illness. And this is what I have to say. We can do better. We can do better. For example, my son started exhibiting behavior problems while in high school, and they were all wrote off as just that, behavior problems. But according to professionals, all those behavior problems that suddenly popped up in the sophomore and junior year were red flags of what was to come. And there was no one in our school district, despite having a school psychologist on staff, that could identify the red flags for what they were. But that, my friend, is just the tip of the iceberg. Before I close, I do need to say that I have found that the field is populated by people that really care, that really want to affect change. But their hands are tied. There's just not enough money. Like I said, we can do a lot better, and we should.